Hey, good evening, my friends. How are you? Welcome to another edition of Wednesday Night Live right here on Mike Avery Outdoors. Hello, Cliff. Nice to have you along with us tonight. Hello, Stacy. How are you? Matt, the first one in this evening. Appreciate it. David, John. Hey, Joe. How have you been, buddy? Haven't heard from you for a while. I hope things are going well in your part of the world, the beautiful part of northern Michigan. Always a pleasure to have you along with us. Hello, Ed. Also, checking in from northern Michigan. And let's go way north. David Bowler checking in from the far western UP. And let's go farther north yet. Daryl Godden checking in from White River, Ontario, Canada. We just keep working our way north. Bob, thanks for you being along. It's a pleasure to have you along with us tonight as well. 3 weeks. That's right. 3 weeks. And we will be back in White River for bear hunt with Ron St. Louis of Northern Wilderness Bear Outfitters. Matthew, don't recognize your name. Nice to have you along with us. Hello, Rick. Another Matthew, and I do recognize your name. My name is Mike Avery, my friends. This is another edition of Wednesday Night Live here on my social media outlets. Everett, Michigan. Tony, how are you? Thank you. I appreciate it. Santa's way up north. Yeah, Tony, I will be fishing Friday, weather permitting, and then I'll fish in the Angler Quest tournament out of Linwood Beach on Saturday. Although I'll be fishing out of the mouth of the Saginaw River and then heading over to Linwood Beach. You know where I'll be, Tony. You know where I'll be. Good evening, Mike. I wasn't very handsome. I don't know what that means. Mike Thompson, my friend. How have you been, buddy? Haven't heard from you in a while. I'll be in Seney. I'll be starting the 25th, Dave. James. Stay in the hospital with pneumonia. James, I am so sorry to hear that, buddy. Archer is a very, very cool name. I hope you get feeling better very soon. Hey, Michelle, keep an eye on that big lug of a husband of yours. Oh, the wife finds me very handsome. Well, of course she does. I mean, look at this. How can you argue with this? Ed, that's a good question. It's going to start dying off here. My grandson and I, Trent, fished it a few days after we were out there. No, we weren't out there. After I was out there with Emil and Ross, and it's starting to slow down. I'm fishing it Friday, and we'll see if there's anything still in there. If so, that's where I'll be Saturday. I saw beer hunt. Mark says, good luck with your beer hunts. Okay. Yes, Doug, I heard one too. I heard one last week. The first cicada. And the old saying was 6 weeks till frost. I've been keeping an eye on that. And it's actually closer to 8 weeks, maybe even 10 weeks. But the question is there a correlation from the first time we hear a frost? I knew what you meant, Mark. Seen any big bucks yet? Nope, not looking either. Hello, Michael. How are you? I just can't get that excited about deer hunting. The deer hunting TV shows and the deer hunting groups have ruined it for me. What size motor do I have on the Angler Quest? I got a 300. No, I haven't even applied for my suppressor yet. Cliff, thank you for the reminder. Davina, I just posted 2 outdoor pages. I'll keep an eye out for yours. Yes, John, I saw that. Chad's a good guy. I haven't had a chance to respond. I apologize for that. Yes, I would be. And I get it, Matthew. Yeah, I would be excited to be bear hunting with the boys too. Anything on the white boat? No, we'll get to that in a minute. Um, the reason I can't get excited about deer hunting anymore is it seems to me that with the modern day thinking of deer hunting, you have to have named the animal. It has to be on a hit list. You have to kill it in a food plot that you planted. You have to have trail camera pictures of it. You have to have sheds from the previous year and all that goofy stuff. I just can't buy into it. Well, that I could get into, Joe. We've got a flock of 24 geese now behind the house, and I'm telling you, they're big flying rats is all they are. They're big flying rats. There are rats, there are flying rats, which also called seagulls, and then there are big flying rats, which are called Canada geese. Yeah, it's not like back in the day, right? It's not like back in the day when you could go out and be proud of whatever you shot and people would shake your hand for shooting a spike or a 4 point. Not like that anymore, is it? It's salmon season. Indeed it is, Lauren. Have fun. Evening, Jeff. How are you? Mark says he agrees on the deer, loves his extreme waterfall hunting. Cold as hell on the diver hunts. But isn't that part of it though, Mark? Pushing yourself and getting cold and getting uncomfortable. I mean, that's part of the experience, right? Hello, where are you? Hello, Kevin. How are you? Brian? Mark says he hunts. Where are we? He hunts Beaver Island and there's no plots, no wild game hunt, watching coyotes smoke when this year, big female. Jerry says, Mike, what day is it? What day is it, my friends? Monday? Tuesday? It's hump day! Evening, Jerry. How are you? Randy says, windy. Dang it. I know. Indeed, it is hump day. Randy, I'm going to fish hopefully Friday and then hopefully Saturday in the Angler Quest tournament. Jim, how are you, buddy? Matthew, I know you prefer to hunt coyote. Deer hunting just doesn't get me excited like predator hunting. And you're one of the best out there, Matt. You really are. Keep up the good work. Okay, things on my list for tonight. The first cicada. I heard one a week ago tomorrow. I was actually on the golf course. Brian got a couple of Kings and Lakers this past weekend. You are more than welcome, Matt. I was actually on the golf course with my wife, Denise. I am no updates on my boat. We might end up taking that river cruise on my prototype, but that'd be all right. I'd prefer to do it on the new boat, but whatever we need to do, right, Ed? Because we're actually starting to run out of time. I mean, there's a lot of warm weather yet, but Matthew said they were making noise in Mecosta State Park. Yeah, the old saying is from the time you hear the first cicada buzz until the first frost, it'll be 6 weeks. That's not true. My dad had kept track of it. I've kept track of it. And it's not 6 weeks. So then I'm thinking, well, they already told me I couldn't win it, Randy. Davina was on this morning looking for a good pair of waders. I didn't answer the question. I'm not qualified. Can somebody help Davina out? What's my handicap? The fact that I can't golf worth a damn. So anyway, I'm enjoying getting back on the golf course. I'm actually doing all right for not playing for a quarter of a century. So I think it's actually more like 10 weeks from the time you hear the first cicada till the first frost. But the question is, can we make the correlation that the earlier we hear a cicada, the earlier it's going to frost? Whatever the number is, whether it's 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks, whatever. If we get early cicadas buzzing, does that mean an early frost? I don't know. Mark agrees with the 10 or 12 weeks. I do my best to document it. And like one year I'll remember to put on my calendar when I heard the first cicada. And the next year I'll remember when it frosted first, but I kind of forget to do in the same year. Okay, but one thing we cannot deny is that the days are getting shorter. Summertime is slipping away. Now, I don't want to wish the summer away, but when it's hot and muggy like this, I'll be ready for it to be gone. By the time I head to White River in 3 weeks now, I'll be ready. I'll be ready. Matthew said, but then again, they said it was going to be a hot, humid summer, and it hasn't been too bad until these last couple of weeks. Davina said, after we were talking about it this morning, she went outside and heard a cicada. Fishing. I have been out fishing. The skinny water, my beloved skinny water, I think it's going to start to die here. With these hot days, the surface temp's going to come up and drive those fish out. 3 weeks. I know it, just 3 weeks. Roughly. Last time I was out with my grandson Trent, the skinny water was getting slower, and so I ran out to 27 feet of water, which to me, I might as well be 1,000 feet of water. I tried a tactic that Mr. Angler Quest, Brad Dupuis, showed me. And that is when you're marking a bunch of fish on the bottom, he uses a technique called dredging. He takes spoons behind number 30 jet divers and he runs them out. Well, I was running them out 80 to 95 feet. I was running one 80, 85, 90. Yeah, that's 80, 85, 90 feet. Getting it down 20, 22 feet. And we were catching fish on them. I've never done that before, which gave me some confidence in deep water. On the other side of the boat, we were running number 7 flicker shads and flicker minnows using the 50 plus 2 method. Hey, Mike, how are you? I just posted something for you. 50 plus 2, that is, you put out 50 feet of line, you put on a 2-ounce snap weight, and then you let out some more line. In our case, we were running 80, 90, and 100 total. So 50, 2-ounce snap weight, and then 30 more feet of line, and 40 more feet of line, and 50 more feet of line. And that was getting those baits down on the bottom too. And we did all right. We got some nice fish. So if the skinny water dies, I think that deep water fishery will be good for a while yet. Jim says, how long will you keep this boat? The prototype I have right now, as soon as my new boat comes in, it's gone. My new boat, when I get it, in the past, what we've done when boats were easy to get and motors were easy to get, I would keep a boat for a year, turn it back around, and somebody would buy it as a used boat. This year, hey, Gene from Angler Quest, this year, since they're so hard to get, we're going to do something different. When my new boat is done, and it's almost done, we're going to take the 300 horse outboard off the prototype that I'm running now, and we're going to put it over on my new Angler Quest. And I think that's a great idea because the motor that I have now has 100 hours on it, which is, well, I had 10 when I got it. So I put 90 hours on it this summer. So it's a brand new motor and it's broken in. I'll do an oil change when we swap the motor over to the new boat. So I'll have a brand new boat and I'll have a new motor that's all perfectly broken in. And I will keep that, Jim, to answer your question. I'm going to hopefully hang on to this boat for at least 2 years. At least 2 years. Getting a notification from my radar as I look out the window. A lot of these squirrely storms coming through. I think it sounds like a great plan, too. Okay, Davina's going back to her waiter. What's better, built in rubber boots or the ones you have to pair? Somebody help Davina out, because I don't know the answer to this. I am not qualified to answer this question just because I don't know, Davina. I'm not blowing you off. I just don't know. Oh, I did. This is exciting news for me, at least. I did a Primal Tree Stands podcast today with Bob Ransom. Now, I don't know. Raymond, how are you? Gene says it rained there a few minutes ago, so it's heading our direction. I don't know if you know who Bob Ransom is, but let me tell you briefly. Bob Ransom is a Michigan guy who started the Ameristep company, and he started it with one screw-in tree step. And from that, he built the entire Ameristep company. He built it up to the point where it became a success. This is the American dream, right? You start a company and you build it up to where you can sell it off to a bigger company. That's what Bob did with Ameristep. He sold us to one of these big corporate conglomerates. But part of the deal was there was a non-compete for 5 years, meaning he couldn't get back in the outdoor business for 5 years. So as soon as that 5 years were up, he started a new company. 5 years was up. He started a new company called Primal Tree Stands. And I'm working with Primal. So Bob is the guy who came up with the dog house, the outhouse, that whole lineup of blinds, right? He's the guy who came up with the Wraith 270 that I love so much, the Breeze blind. Listen to what they're coming up with now. In fact, it'll be on the market this fall. And he said there's one in the mail to me right now. It's called a blind spot. Now think about hunting out of a ground blind. What has the problem been with ground blinds in the past? Your limited visibility. With the new see-through blinds, you've at least got 270 degrees, right? But you still can't see behind you. Primal has a new product coming out called the Blind Spot. And it's a remote controlled camera that you put on top of your blind and you hook it up to the Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, probably Bluetooth on your phone, and you can control the camera from your phone. So the blind spots that you can't see, you can turn the camera around behind you and see what's coming in. Is that cool or what? I think it is, as a guy who likes to hunt from a ground blind. Hey, Harry, how are things in Grand Rapids? I was just over that way last weekend. I was down in Whistle Stop Park in Byron Center to watch my granddaughter play softball. Okay, let me lead into this next topic. And Harry, that leads me into the next topic. Thank you. While I was at that softball game in Byron Center, no, we were having dinner with brother-in-law and sister-in-law in Ada. I get a text on my phone. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. Kind of text that gets your attention. Give me a second here. I tried pulling it up while it didn't work. It was from Lance Valentine, but it looks like it went out to a lot of people. Here it is. I get this text at 4:42 Saturday afternoon. SOS, 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 all caps. Man overboard, all caps, with a child left in the boat. Saginaw Bay, north of Finn Road near Callahan Reef, waiting for boat description. And he gives the lat long numbers. And he says, Mike, not sure if you're out, because that's where I fish. I wasn't out. I was across the state. So I wasn't able to help in any way. But here's the story. You probably heard this by now. David's going back to a tree stand this year. That's pretty cool. And I'll give you the short version. That's the guy that passed away. Yes, I'll give you the short version. Well, Scott, you should just know. You should put a reminder on your phone every Wednesday night at 6:59 that Avery's going live, Scott. So a lot of you have heard this by now, but here's the story, and I'll give the short version. A guy, his 4-year-old kid and his 9-year-old kid and his dad, 62-year-old dad, are out fishing the water I was just telling you about. It's Saturday afternoon. There's a light south wind. All of a sudden, the wind switches around from the north. I'll get to that, Stacy. The wind switches around to the north, starts to blow really hard. So they decide, okay, we're going to call it a day. As they're pulling in boards, this big white boat. Now, I don't know what big is. Is it a 30-footer? Is it a 22-footer? I don't know. But this big white boat comes barreling in on them, almost hits them. Adam, the son, who I have since talked with, said he thought they were going to get hit by that boat. The boat didn't hit him. It was 30 yards away, almost ran over their planer boards, but it threw a big enough wake that it rocked the boat so much that the 4-year-old fell in the water. Now, the 4-year-old's got a life jacket on, thank God. And the 9-year-old has a life jacket on, thank God, too. And I am not making any judgments on this at all. Nothing. I'm just using it as an example of how things can go south on the water so very quickly. And when they go south on the water, they tend to get really bad. So dad sees the 4-year-old fall in the water. And because he's a dad, what's his first reaction? Jump in after him. And I get that. But because now the wind has switched and it's blowing like crazy from the north, and because a big boat had just gone by, and between the wake and the wind, it's pushing the boat away from him. So he gets to the 4-year-old, he grabs the 4-year-old, but he can't get back to the boat. In the meantime, the 4-year-old, who is absolutely scared to death, is climbing up on dad and keeps pushing him down. Dad doesn't have a life jacket on. He keeps pushing dad down. Dad can't get back to the boat. So grandpa looks at this situation. He grabs the what do you call it? The throwable, the PFD, the throwable PFD from the boat, throws it out towards the son and grandson, but he can't make it to him and they can't get to it. So grandpa now sees his son and his grandson in trouble in the water. And he made a decision that made him a hero and cost him his life. Grandpa strips down, he jumps in the water, he gets out to the two of them, he gets the 4-year-old off dad so dad can come to the surface and try to get some air and stuff. Dad was in rough shape. Dad ended up getting pulled out of the water by a fellow angler who did CPR on him and saved his life. Grandpa got the 4-year-old who's in a life jacket. Grandpa didn't make it. Grandpa was holding the 4-year-old's hand right till the end. Then, hey Ross, how are you? Another interesting thing about this is the 9-year-old who was left on the boat by himself, 9 years old. He had been taught well enough that he contacted 911. I think he called 911 and he gave them their lat longs. I think he must have been looking at the graph, the electronics on the dash, and he gave them their position. So the 9-year-old called the cavalry in and said, "We're in trouble. My dad, my grandpa, and my brother are in trouble, but here's where we're at." Tragic. Tragic. But here's my question. The big white boat. Adam wasn't able, dad wasn't able to give a description. So they're looking for a big white boat, which could be one of 10,000 boats on Saginaw Bay. My contention is the person who did that knows they did it. The person who almost ran over this boat and almost swamped the boat and caused this family unknown tragedy and caused the life of 62-year-old grandpa, they know what they did. If you know this person, I would suggest you start working on them. And they got to do the right thing. They got to turn themselves in. And if they don't turn themselves in, you're going to be haunted for the rest of your life by what you did. You didn't do it intentionally. It was an accident, right? But you screwed up. You made a mistake. I'm not going to say probably drunk, Davina. I'm not going to say that at all. Could be, but I don't know. Here's what I've seen on Saginaw Bay, and this is why I try to fish during the weekdays as much as possible. During the weekdays, the crowds are down, and you get a lot of people on the water who are experienced boaters and experienced anglers. On the weekends, you get a bunch of absolute idiots, and Davina, a lot of them have been drinking. Now, I get the fact, yeah, Grandpa is a hero. There's no doubt about it. I get the fact, and you know what? So's Dad. Dad jumped in the water for his 4-year-old. Both of these guys risk their lives for their kids and grandkids. I get the fact that everybody has to learn how to be a boater, and the only way to learn how to be a boater is to be on the water and be a boater. But I'm telling you, the weekends, you come out of the mouth of the Saginaw River on the weekends, it's like gauntlet, because people don't know the rules of the road, they don't know navigation, it's a cluster. It is sad, Jason. It is sad. All the way around, Jason. It's sad, sad, sad. Scott Hand makes a great point. This is exactly why he has Blake, his grandson, trained to drive the Angler Quest and get it back to the marina following the graph tracks on the Lawrence in case something should happen to me. Great point, Scott. Great point. And this is something that I need to do more of. I mean, I'm in good shape. My heart's good, but who knows? Next time I go out, um, I could have a heart attack and fall overboard, or a rogue wave could get me and fall overboard. I mean, you never know. Davina says she likes the lakes where they have quiet time on the lake for fishing. The boat did run and it didn't get swamped. It rocked back and forth and threw the 4-year-old out. Tony, I agree with you. The mouth of the Saginaw River is the most dangerous spot on Saginaw Bay. I agree with you, especially on the weekend when the idiots come out. The go fast boats, the big cruisers, the sailboats. Hey, Billy, how are you? My wife, she hates going through there with me on the weekend. She gets all nervous and gets white knuckles. I mean, the Angler Quest can take just about anything, but you get everything bouncing around there and bouncing off the seawall. And Jason says he does the same thing with his daughters, and they're on the water a lot too. Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. All right, so listen, I hate to bring that up. I mean, it's a very terrible, sad story. By the way, if you want to help out that family, help for funeral expenses, because this is not something they expected to be doing right now. There is a post on my Facebook page. If you scroll down, are you serious, Scott? Very true, Matthew. Scott says the AngleQuest tourney not looking good for Saturday. Wind's too strong. Sunday's the blow day. I won't be able to fish Sunday. I won't be able to do it. And I'm supposed to be the MC of the event too. Doggone it. Let me pull up something here real quick. Saturday, 93 degrees. I thought it wasn't going to blow Saturday. 93 degrees. I'm not seeing the winds on this forecast. Oh my gosh. It is scary stuff, eh, Tim? We're supposed to be fishing together, but honestly, well, here's the deal. My daughter got engaged, officially engaged last weekend, and we're going to go downstate and have a little celebration. So, and that's going Sunday. So if I can't go, you thought I locked up there, didn't you? I'm praying that we can get out Saturday. Because if it's Sunday, I am going to be put in a very, very tough spot. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. We knew it was coming. Windfinder says 30 plus knots. What direction, Scott? I'm not going to be fishing out of Linwood Beach like you guys. You know where I'm going to be fishing. So if it's from the south, I'll be okay. 30 plus. I guess I should check wind. Well, I'm using my phone, so I can't check Windfinder. What direction, Scott? George, I get that. But like I said, I am not making any judgment calls at all on this family that lost grandpa. Matt says he'll MC it. I like the inflatables. Scott just sent me a Tennessee. Windfinder Saturday, Southwest. I could fish my skinny water. I could. Oh, I get it, Scott. Thank you. I could fish my skinny water. I couldn't get out to the deep water. And there might not be any fish left in the skinny water, but I could fish my skinny water. Hey, Ace, how are you, buddy? So nice to hear from you and Dave last week. And thanks for the congrats. She's actually going to get married down in the Detroit area, Ace, because that's where they live. Oh, that'll put me in a tough spot because I promised Kristen Monroe, the marketing director for Angler Quest, that I would MC the event. But I also promised my wife and daughter that I would go downstate for a little celebration. What would you do, my friends? Ohio Hunt is not technically full, Johnny. We've still got one spot. Got one spot. Good evening, Pat. How are you? I'm trying to get Scott Hand to go, but if he goes, he'll get divorced. I hear that, Brent, but I got to take care of business too. Actually, yes, she is a lawyer. If it came down to it, Brent, they would both tell me, "Look, at Dad, you got to do what you got to do." I could have you. Well, I could have you do it, Jason, but you're not going to be there. Lance will be there. He could do it. Here's the thing. I have built a career of 40 years now of treating my advertising partners very well. And if I make a commitment to them, if I make a promise to them of something that I'm going to do, I will do it. And I don't want to start backing out on those promises now, even though I believe Kristen would certainly understand. I'll look for it, Brandon. A half clear tiger muskie? You mean you can like see through it? How did you send it to me? I want to pull it up right now. Brandon Pickens, how did you send me that picture? I will pull it up. I know you do, Jason, but you came down for the Walleye for Warriors event. So that was pretty darn impressive right there. By the way, if you want DM, direct message, okay. I hate Facebook dress. I tell you what, my friends, if you want to send me something or reach me for something, email's the best way. Send it to me, Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Got you, Brian. Got you, Brian. It's not going to work, Matthew. That one wouldn't work. I hope to fish Friday too, Craig, but I'd hope to fish Saturday too. Now it's maybe not going to happen. No. Well, if you want me to share something, yes, post it under the mentions tab. If you want to just get a message to me, send me an email. A message, video, pictures, just send me an email. Mike at MikeAveryOutdoors.com. Well, when do I plan on retiring? Hell hasn't frozen over yet. MC the event and have your family celebration on the boat. Well, I don't think that's going to work. 43 boats in the AQ tournament so far. 50 is the cutoff. Evening, Mike. That's all right. Always a pleasure to have you along with us, no matter what time. No markings on his front half, and the back half looks normal. Pretty cool. And when hell does freeze over, the Lions will win the Super Bowl. Very true, Matthew. Oh, Scott, I got to tell you, you put a damper on my night right now. The last weather report. Oh, it's raining out here now. The last weather report I had for Saturday looked really good, like Southwest 5 to 10, and that's what I was going with. I hadn't looked at it lately. Oh boy! All right, Tim. Have fun feeding the turkeys. I was surprised nobody commented on this new blind spot from Primal Tree Stands. It's a camera you put on your blind. Mike, the Windy app shows the wind not being too bad for Saturday. Excellent, Bob. Because Windfinder, which I'll tell you what, I'm not a big fan of Windfinder. I'll go with the Weather Channel app before I'll go with Windfinder. Sunshine in Hope, of course it is. It's always sunny in Hope, and it's always raining in hell. No, it's always hot in hell. Davina, I did. It was one of those things I saw and didn't look at it at the time, but I will go back and check it out. And I will admit, sometimes when I'm in the I'll to use a cliche here, in a very creative mood or mode and working on something, or if I'm getting overwhelmed, I can't multitask like I used to. My brain is still, I feel it's still fairly sharp. But I can't multitask like I used to. And sometimes I get a little bit overwhelmed when I have all these different notifications coming in. That's one reason why I tell people just send me an email. Don't send it to me on Facebook. Don't send it to me through Instagram. Don't send it to me through Messenger. Don't send me a text. Send me an email. Send me an email to mike@mikeaveryoutdoors.com. That way it's a lot easier for me just to go, boom, there's my email. Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate it. In fact, I think it just came in right now. Let me check it. There it is. Oh, that's interesting. The front of it is very pale, and it's like there's just a line. Huh. I'll share that later. I can't share it right now. I mean, Brandon, where was that? It must be, did you tell me that was Lake St. Clair, probably? Yes. Is there an app for it to do when you're not? Okay. Two things. Thank you, Ken. Exactly. And sometimes, Ken, I get cranked up. I will tell you that. I mean, there are times when I get cranked up, and I don't apologize for that, but I appreciate what you're saying. Harry, your comment, um, this blind spot, the camera that goes on top of your blind that you control with an app on your phone, is not meant to be used remotely. You only use that while you're in your blind. However, Primal is coming out with a new product that won't be out until next year, but they're developing it. The prototypes are out in the field now, where you will be able to have a remote camera. Say, I could sit here in Michigan, put a camera in Kansas, and I could remotely control that from my phone. Talk about cell technology. It was Lake St. Clair. Okay. Davina, staying at the state park campground up there. Is that for me, Davina, or for somebody else? I bet that's for somebody else. Brandon says the musky fishing is heating up. Mid-lake bite is good. Stony Point is hot. Thank you, Brandon. Jeff says, good evening. Love the broadcast. Appreciate that, Jeff. Appreciate that very much. Technology is crazy, Pat. And some people will say, well, the technology has gone too far in the outdoors. I get that. I see that, but I don't buy into it because, number one, I'm a tech geek. I love technology and I love gadgets. If you could see what I have right here in front of me just to make this happen, but I love it. And my background is in electronics and broadcasting. So this is right in my wheelhouse. So if we can use this to enjoy our outdoor experiences more, why not? Matthew wants to know anybody fishing Charlevoix this year, Lake Charlevoix. Davina, in reply to Matthew. Got you, Davina. Thank you. Ken says anti-hunters in some states going after cell cameras, said it gives an unfair advantage. It's not just the anti-hunters. This is what burns my rear end, Ken. It's not just the anti-hunters. It was either Pope and Young or Boone and Crockett. I think it was Pope and Young that said it was an unfair hunting practice. I have no use for Pope and Young whatsoever. None. I'll tell you that right now. I'm nothing, not interested in Pope and Young, nothing good to say about them. They are a self-righteous, self-serving, elitist organization, in my opinion. They want nothing to do with crossbows. Don't like Pope and Young. And that's probably a stupid thing for me to say, but I'm not a fan of Pope and Young, especially when they come out with comments like that. And I don't think it was Boone and Crockett. I'm pretty sure it was Pope and Young. And I should be more careful what I say, right? I should. But I can't after 40 years of doing this, I can't censor myself. And I'm not, well, no, I shouldn't say that. I do sometimes censor myself, but sometimes it slips out. Matthew says, I've noticed my camera that links to my phone acts up more than my regular ones. I've had similar problems, Matthew, with GoPros. The GoPro right here. People talk about these GoPros and they love them. I have tried and tried and tried to get these things to work, and they've been nothing but headaches for me. I've tried to use them remotely on turkey hunts and bear hunts by putting them out by the decoy or putting them out by the bait or putting them even behind me in a blind. And then you're supposed to be able to trigger them all at once. Well, inevitably, every time what I do is I check them beforehand and they connect and they work. But then the moment of truth, when a turkey walks in or a bear walks in and I go to fire them up, they can't. They won't connect. So GoPros are finicky. Issues connecting. Absolutely. Now, I've seen Nick Grillo of Michigan Brand do some very cool stuff with GoPros and with drones. Check out his video on YouTube, Nick Grillo 21, I think, on YouTube, of his spring bear hunt in White River, Ontario, Canada, and it's outstanding. Matthew says same with GoPros. He's used them for his West Michigan Bass YouTube channel, but my audio never uploads for some reason. That's one thing I've never had a problem with on a GoPro. Now, you're not going to get good audio on a GoPro, right? You'll get usable audio, but not good audio. I'm actually quite surprised on how good the audio is on my iPhone right there. John has a good point. You can get to Nick Grillo's YouTube through his Instagram. Now, for my Wednesday night live, I'm using this microphone. Shure SM7B. It's a broadcast. It's a professional grade broadcast microphone. For the radio studio and my behind the mics, I use an Electro Voice EV. What is it? You can go to my videos right now and you'll know right away what it is. But I'm kind of an audio snob whenever I can be. I think people will forgive poor quality video before they will forgive poor quality audio. Meaning you could take something shot with I don't use a lav mic at all anymore, Martin. I haven't used a lav mic in years. You could take video shot with a GoPro, and if it's got good audio, people will accept it. But if you take a red 4K camera and the audio is muddy and you can't tell what people are saying, you wasted it. Pat says he switched over to Tacticams. Now, I do have a Tacticam on my crossbow. Haven't really put it to the test yet, but yeah, I can. It's promising. Anything's better than a GoPro. Yeah, Martin, I haven't used a lav in a long, long time. I'm either going to use a studio mic or I'm going to use the mic from my phone, which is pretty darn good. It's amazing what the phones can do. You probably didn't do it, John. It's just, yes, it'll go on your gun or your crossbow. Yes. All right. So listen, join me in a big prayer that the wind Saturday will not blow. It'll make my life and my weekend much better. Joe says he's had no problems with the GoPro Hero 10 so far. Good. Costco has them right now on sale, and I think this is a GoPro. I think this is like a 5. This is one of the first ones I think that came out with a screen on the back. I can't tell you what it is. So let's hope that the wind doesn't blow Saturday. Let's hope that we can go fishing Saturday. All right, my friends, thanks for joining me on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. My name is Mike Avery. I do this every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. My website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and my email address is Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. If you want to get a message to me, if you want to send me a picture, a link, a video, just about anything other than something you want me to share on Facebook. If you want me to share it on Facebook, you can post it on Facebook under the mentions tab, and I can just share it. Other than that, please send me an email to Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors. I can't forget this. Email Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I almost forgot about this. Got to go out with a bang, right? You know what this is? This is the close music to the old Outdoor Magazine television show. It wasn't getting any use. I thought this is a pretty good use for it. All right. This is going to get a healthy shot of Maker's Mark. It's not raining, so I'm going to grab a cigar and head for the patio, and I will wish you a wonderful night. Thanks for joining me on this edition of Wednesday Night Live. Have a good night, my friends.